Philadelphia, a metropolis of 1.5 million people, the starting point of our 30-day experience. Then on to Minneapolis, passing over the many geographic changes of the U.S. and Canada, then entering the majestic mountains surrounding Anchorage. Our next flight was a short jaunt to Kenai, where we were picked up by Samaritan's Purse personnel and chauffeured to base camp in Soldotna.
Base camp, the Alaska you see on postcards. This is the jumping-off point for all SP volunteers working in Alaska. Beautiful structures, hot showers, and flushing toilets, something we all take for granted. Little did we know what a welcome amenity this would be on our return. After a good night's sleep and a hearty breakfast, it was on to Soldotna Airport, the home of Samaritan's Purse, Alaskan operations, and their air fleet.
Volunteers are required to supply their own transportation to Kenai, but from then on, SP supplies you with all your travel needs and accommodations. As the planes got smaller, the weight considerations became much more important. These planes have a payload of approximately 2,000 pounds, which includes fuel, luggage, and passengers.
Snow-capped peaks and glacier rivers are some of the beautiful scenes we gazed upon traveling through Lake Clark Pass on our way to Port Ellsworth, a remote resort community. Here we picked up our project manager, Ralph.
We said goodbye to Port Ellsworth and mountains and trees. The landscape quickly gave way to seemingly endless marshland. Below us was God's doodle pad, a pattern of tundra and rivulets of water and small lakes and ponds. Acres and acres and acres of all the same thing. Our flight also changed from beautiful blue skies to cloudy gray skies with 30-mile-per-hour winds and driving rain. This was our welcome to Kwigillingok, or Kwig, affectionately nicknamed by the villagers. This population of 350 consists of primarily Yupik Eskimos.
After safely landing under wind and rain, Ralph took us by four-wheeler to our accommodations that were located at the end of the town near the new church in the current parsonage. This was to be our home for the next 30 days, and also served as a cookhouse and dining room. Several of the volunteers were housed in cells at the former local jail. During our stay, we hosted men from Oklahoma, California, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Hampshire, New Jersey, and Alaska.
As soon as we were introduced to our new home, Kathy and I began preparing the first meal, determining our pantry inventory and using gathered rainwater for washing and cooking. Bathroom facilities consisted of a 5-gallon bucket with a plastic liner. When the crew arrived, Ralph was very quick to set them to the task at hand, which was continuing to build the church. The various skills of the volunteers God sent were utilized to accomplish the work at hand.
Our second day in Kwig, we were invited to a local birthday party. We all jumped in the Kwigillingok taxi and experienced a very important local tradition, complete with a smorgasbord of subsistence foods. Included in this buffet was seal, walrus, wild berries, birds, whitefish, and salmon, offered in a variety of ways.
The Kwigillingok interstate system consists of an interconnected boardwalk system that join all of the houses, business, and government complexes together. Without the boardwalk, it would be nearly impossible to get around due to the marshiness of the terrain. This boardwalk spans the approximate 1-mile length of the village and is wide enough to accommodate 2 four-wheelers.
On our way home from the birthday party, we walked past the school and visited the general store. The school is the central meeting place for the local children when school is in session as well as during the off-season. The general store has most needed items for everyday necessity. But due to the location of the village, prices are extremely high. These high prices are because all freight must be brought in by either plane or barge.
In this part of the world, the summer months lend themselves to 24 hours of daylight. From noon to midnight was quite often the most pleasant time of day. The pictures that you see here were taken at midnight. This is truly a town that never sleeps. It is not uncommon to find groups of children playing along the boardwalk late into the night.
The people in the village of Kwig practice subsistence living. They gather gallons of berries, including salmon berries, cranberries, blueberries, and blackberries from the surrounding tundra. They also hunt moose and caribou, and seal and walrus. A large part of their diet is salmon, which can be prepared in many ways. While we were there, they provided us with dried, smoked, canned, salt-cured, and 5 different types of fresh salmon. Since I was there to cook, I had the opportunity to prepare several different salmon dishes, as well as moose and caribou.
On one of the rare sunny days that we had, Ralph gave us permission to take the afternoon and go explore the Bering Sea. We began the trek on four-wheeler, but soon had to resort to foot travel. 2 of the local guys served as our guides. After dislodging ourselves from the mud holes, we came to the shoreline of the sea. We were quite surprised to discover mud flats. No rolling waves or sandy beaches. With the tide out, we viewed almost 3 miles of mud. Turning around, we could see Kwig.
Church services began at 10 o'clock Sunday morning with the ringing of the bell. By 10 o'clock there was a string of four-wheelers, and the service had started in the Yupik language. The morning service usually lasted until nearly noon. Sunday school followed at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The more largely attended service was in the evening at 7, lasting anywhere from 2 to 3.5 hours. Beautiful music from a wide participation of the people, including congregational singing, as well as individuals and choirs, and accompanied by stringed instruments and keyboards, resounded within the walls of the old church as the spirits of the people were lifted up in praise to the Lord.
Another highlight for us were the visitors sent by Samaritan's Purse to minister in Kwig. Geth Christian singer Steve Grace, along with his wife, and Johnny Daniels, a rodeo cowboy who demonstrated his roping skills. A week later, we were encouraged by a special visit from Franklin Graham, president of Samaritan's Purse, who brought with him Luther Harrison, head of North American Disaster Relief, and Dr. Jerry Prevost, pastor of Anchorage Baptist Temple, and a lunch of fried chicken, deli salads, ice, and soda.
Every other week the new volunteers were introduced to the congregation, at which time the groups could offer a little something back to them. Sometimes they sang. However, we had an opportunity to present a chalk talk. Because of this, we were asked to present this to the Sunday School Department in worship service. Doors opened, and we were again approached by the youth leaders to demonstrate activities that were used in our church to encourage youth attendance. David, drawing on his prior experience as an Awana game director, created a small Awana circle on the floor of the Community Association building, and then proceeded to explain some circle games. The kids had never participated in any kind of activity like this before and thoroughly enjoyed themselves. We asked them to share with us the activities that they do, so they showed us their games, including the seal hop, the Alaskan high kick, the kneel jump, the stick pull, and many others. At the end of the evening, they sang to us.
From when we arrived to when we left, much work had been accomplished on the church building. The walls were up, painting was nearly done, windows cased, plumbing and electricity was mostly installed, and outdoor ramps had been built. Work yet to be accomplished was installing and painting the final floor, outdoor handrails completed, and foundation fencing installed. The building would soon be ready to move into. In fact, the building was completed the following week, and the dedication service of this new building was September 18, 2011.
Our last week there, we were informed early in the week that there wouldn't be room enough on the SP planes for all of the volunteers flying out that day. We were asked to fly out commercially, which we readily agreed to, knowing that we would be able to see a little more of Alaska on our way home. Hugs were given, and tears were shed. All too soon it was time to go. Sometimes, when you intend to give, you end up receiving much more.
Jesus